SMU's offense is starting to hit its stride in the first couple of games of ACC play.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is a Locked On SMU instant reaction as the Mustangs hold serve at home and defeat Stanford 34-10 to move to 2-0 in ACC play and 4-2 overall in the 2025 season. I'm Grayson Singleton. You can find me at Gray_Singleton2 on Twitter. And remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So SMU gets the cover, by the way, which is something that they hadn't done in a minute. I can't remember. I don't know the exact number, but I can't remember the last time that SMU actually got a cover. They almost got it against Syracuse last week. It was kind of a backdoor cover for the Orange there. But all in all, your first two games of ACC play, opponents that were either hampered by injury or not very good, and you won by double digits. So there is that. This one was not pretty. This one was not the prettiest thing in the world, and we'll get to why on the defensive end in just a second. But I want to start with the offense because I think the offense is starting to hit its stride, both in the way they can move down the field, play calling, and also playmakers. And you saw all three of those on display today. And you saw SMU go down the field on extended drives, converting third downs. You did convert a fourth down on the swing pass out to McFall, which I thought was an excellent read and an excellent call by the offense. You expected the blitz, leak a running back out, McFall wide open, easy touchdown. So I thought that was an example of play calling and good situational football for SMU. But Kevin Jennings, I talked about him on either Thursday or Friday, how you need him to start stacking weeks. And he doesn't throw an interception today, goes for 2 touchdowns, over 200 yards, 247, and another day where he completes over 2/3 of his passes. And that's 2 weekends in a row where Kevin Jennings, I thought, has been excellent. By the way, you have seen playmaking from Kevin Jennings in this game. Used his legs a little bit more. I liked that. Scrambling around and flipping the ball out to Chris Johnson Jr. for the long touchdown. I liked that. He did hold on to the ball way too long a couple of times, and it resulted in some pretty lengthy losses on sacks. But I thought Kevin Jennings had a very, very good day today. 22 of 30, 247, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Hudson's return. We got to talk about this. Jordan Hudson's return adds a whole different dynamic to this offense. And with the type of catches that he was making, he gives Kevin Jennings a target that he can say, I'm going to get it in his vicinity, and I think he'll have a really good chance of coming down with it. And Jordan Hudson put that on display today. 5 catches for 87 yards for him, still wearing the big elbow brace after the injury at the beginning of the year. But he is a dude that can climb the ladder. He can outbody defensive backs. He's a big body, and he's got playmaking, he's got playmaking after the catch as well. So him and Kevin Jennings together, I'm starting to like this. And then now you have to roll coverage away, or at least, devote coverage away from Romello Brinson. Jalen Cooper, I think, will eventually get re-involved back into the offense at some point. Ymir Knight is making appearances, RJ Maryland as well. But Jordan Hudson, not only returning, but being featured and being the featured number 1 target is opening up a lot for this offense. SMU, as it pertains to the entirety of the day, didn't run the ball particularly well. Again, another day where they didn't do that very well, but did they really need to? And I'm starting to think, I'm going to go more in detail with this either Monday or Tuesday, but I'm starting to think that SMU's offense is just going to be quick game to open everything up. A lot of teams run the ball to open everything up, but I think SMU's is going to be quick hitters and RPOs to open everything up, and I'm okay with that. But I'm going to go more in detail with that later on this week. We talked about Kevin Jennings, talked about Jordan Hudson. Chris Johnson Jr. to me is such an enigma now, because this dude comes out on the depth chart as 3rd. By the way, did we see a whole lot from Jermichael Green, who was the 2nd running back on the depth chart? Let's see. No. I need to look and see if he was like a late scratch or something. But Chris Johnson Jr., whatever the case may be, Chris Johnson Jr. comes in, and after being third on the depth chart, all he does is touch the ball 7 times for 138 total yards and 2 touchdowns. And look, I never jumped off the Chris Johnson Jr. train. I never sold my Chris Johnson Jr. stock, and I am glad I did not, because he's been one of my favorite players on this SMU offense. And his decline in usage, I thought, to me, was going to be to the detriment of the team, because this is a dude that is an electric playmaker. He is fast. They talked about on the broadcast with Tom Brennan and Will Blackman that he was a sprinting champion in Miami. Just think about that. So this is a dude that I still think needs to be involved in the offense. But I thought it was a good day for him, taking advantage of whatever opportunity presented itself for him. So all in all, on the offensive side, they're starting to find an identity, and they're starting to find rhythm with moving the ball down the field, with situational play calling. And I thought they executed in the red zone well. They're getting their playmakers back. They're healthy. We are going to do a dive on the offensive line because Josh Bates wasn't very good at right guard today. We'll talk about that later on in the week. But all in all, I thought the offense, I was pretty pleased with the offensive day. 34 points. The line closed at minus 19.5 for SMU. So obviously they covered that one pretty handily, pretty comfortably. And offensively, I think you had a good day. Not much you could say about this offense. Last thing before we go to the defense. Punted on your first 2 drives. I guess SMU just starts slow offensively. I guess that's just going to be the going trend. But after that, as we go into the touchdown on a 13-play drive that ate up 5 minutes, field goal on an 8-play drive, touchdown on a 6-play drive, touchdown on a 5-play drive, 3 and out, and then another punt, and then a field goal on a 9-play drive. SMU in its totality, in terms of total yards in this game today, 369. Good day. Pretty good day for the SMU offense. They're starting to find their stride. I really think they are. Coming up next, we'll take a break here on this SMU post-game reaction, reacting to the Stanford win, or the SMU win over Stanford, 34-10. The defense employed a bend but don't break type of strategy. How do I feel about that, and how do you all feel about that? I want to hear from you on this one. We'll come right back here on Locked On SMU. Hey, it's the weekend. It's Saturday, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered the most. Let's go ahead and break it down. Hey, man, how about we shout out some of these linebackers, man? I talked about Brandon Booker, Brandon Maizano delivered with a huge pass breakup, and Jordan Medlock with the interception return touchdown on a collaborative effort. Defense puts the pressure on Ben Gulbranson, and then Medlock snares it, takes it back 95 yards for the pick 6. So SMU's linebacker core, when it was time to play, they brought it. And if you've been watching, you've been watching me over the last couple of days as well. I've been harping on this linebacker group ever since it got fully healthy. So just like SMU's linebackers and Justin Medlock delivered for SMU, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you can save every Saturday you order and stack it up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash. The promo period runs through November the 18th. We're also brought to you by Mazda's, moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. And who's moving the game forward for SMU more than their quarterback, Kevin Jennings? Another game where he was efficient, directed the offense, spread the ball around, and he is now stacking days. And SMU's offense is getting better and better as the season goes on. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, my next takeaway was the defense. And I thought the defense was an enigma today, to say the least. On the one hand, they were situationally excellent. down in the red zone, I mean, that might be one of the best red zone performances I've ever seen. Now, there was some assistance from some Stanford penalties, which that's not usually a Stanford thing for them to bite themselves. But when you come to critical moments like Brandon Maizano knocking the ball away at the last second, the interception at the end of the game, the goal line stuff toward the beginning of the game, holding Stanford to a field goal when they matriculated the ball all the way down to the 16-yard line. You can't take it away from the defense that in the red zone, that was a hell of a performance. It was a hell of a performance. On the same plane, I said that Ben Gilbranson has been a quarterback that takes a lot of sacks. SMU came to play in that regard. 6 sacks from the Mustang defense. Like, I thought they handled their business in that regard. A sack and a half for Cam Robertson. Speedy Nettles had a half sack. Brandon Maizano had a sack. Turbo and Jeffrey Imba and Terry Webb, who, by the way, I thought Terry Webb was very good in this game today. Glad he was able to return after being shaken up. But the thing with the defense that was curious to me and that I wasn't too thrilled about was how they played the run. And I just didn't feel inspired by that, by the way they played the run game. And the final stat line's not going to tell the full story. I watched the game, you all watched the game and saw it too. The final stat line, 2.3 yards per carry. A lot of that damage was done because of the sacks that Ben Gilbranson took. But if you look at the running backs, Cole Tab, 9 carries, 62 yards. That's 7 yards a carry. Michael Ford, 16 carries for 53 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. Now, they didn't give up a run of more than 20, so there is that. But the way that Stanford was able to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, and then there was that one drive where Stanford ran the ball 7 or 8 times in a row. Like, I did not think that Stanford was going to feel comfortable running the ball like they did. And I told you this about Stanford on Wednesday, that they're going to try to run the ball even when they're behind. And they sure as hell tried. Frank Reich really tried to keep that team running the football, but just couldn't do it down the stretch because they got too far behind. But there was that to me. That to me stood out. It's like, ooh, SMU's defense has been pretty good against the run all season long. That was not a very inspiring performance on the ground. The second thing with the defense that also stood out to me on the negative side, again, I thought the defense, especially situationally, was really good. But they've got a problem covering the middle of the field. I mean, there were players, you think about the Stanford touchdown, which, again, good play design and a good job by Gilbranson holding the safety and keeping that skinny post open. But there was that. There was another play where you could have had a touchdown that was wiped out by a penalty toward the end of the game, and there were players open in the middle of the field. So that, to me, is a little bit of a concern. The other thing defensively is that man-on-man, when it comes to just making a one-on-one grab, give it up to Stanford's wide receivers, but they made the plays over SMU's corners, especially C.J. Williams, who I thought had a really good game. 7 catches for a 109 and a touchdown. So it's another week, I'll say this. It's another week where I think the traditional 4 in the secondary had a decent game, but something with that nickel spot still isn't settled to me, just quite yet. Whether it's communication breakdowns like it was on the touchdown, where Deuce either it was Deuce or Marcellus Barnes was supposed to carry Daniels into the end zone, but they kind of turned him loose, and they gave him a free release too, which that was curious. But it was another week where I see the progress and I see where we're going, but it's not there yet. It's still going to be steps that need to be taken for the back end of this defense. But if you can't defend the middle of the field against Cade Klubnik a week from now, Carson Beck 3 weeks from now, you're going to have issues because those are the easier throws to make. So, and then you lost a few jump balls to C.J. Williams, which he's going to do that to everybody. So, secondary, B-. I thought it's getting better, but still leaves some to be desired. And you didn't stop the run like I thought they could have in this game. But all in all, what trumps that is that you held Stanford to 10 points and you were absolutely excellent. That cannot be taken away, is that SMU's defense was absolutely excellent in the red zone. So those are my first initial thoughts from the win over Stanford. Appreciate you guys for watching this quick instant reaction. We'll talk to you guys on Monday with another full show as we continue to break that down and look forward to SMU going on the road for the first time in conference play to take on Clemson. Take it easy, everybody.